Today, we are diving into one of history's most haunting tales. It's a story of love, betrayal, and a vengeance so extreme it reached beyond the grave. It really all boils down to that one question, doesn't it? We're talking about a love so powerful it made a prince defy his royal duty, and a rage so all-consuming it would ultimately try to defy death itself. So, our story kicks off in the Kingdom of Portugal. We're in a time of shaky alliances and constant political games. And in a world like that, a prince's heart? Yeah, that was the absolute last thing anyone empowered cared about. For Prince Peter, just like for most European royalty back then, this was simply his job, his duty. This marriage wasn't about finding a soulmate. It was all about locking down a fragile peace with the powerful kingdom of Castile next door. He was a prince, and hey, this was the price of power. So, as the royal procession from Castile arrives, Peter sees her, the most beautiful woman he has ever laid eyes on. It's that movie kind of moment. Love at first sight, totally overwhelming. There's just one tiny, catastrophic problem. The woman who completely captivated Peter wasn't his fiancée, Constanza. In a seriously cruel twist of fate, it was her lady-in-waiting, a noblewoman named Inés de Castro. So Peter was bound by duty to marry one woman, but his heart, and let's be honest, his obsession, belonged completely to another. Peter did his duty. He married Constanza, but it was a total sham. He and Inés started this incredibly passionate affair that quickly became the worst-kept secret in all of Portugal. It was a complete slap in the face to royal protocol, and you just know it's going to have some serious consequences. And that brings us to Peter's father, King Alfonso IV. Now, he wasn't just some angry father-in-law, he was a king, and he was watching his son's personal drama threaten the stability of his entire nation. You know, King Alfonso's fears weren't just paranoia, they were legitimate. Inés's powerful brothers were starting to gain way too much influence at court. The whole affair risked dragging Portugal into Castile's own messy internal politics. And then, after Constanza dies, Peter and Inés have 4 kids together. Kids who posed a direct threat to the legitimate line of succession. The king could practically see a civil war brewing on the horizon. The king had tried everything. He exiled her, he threatened them, he pleaded with his son. But nothing could break Peter and Inés apart. So, in his mind, he was left with only one possible solution. He had to take Inés out of the picture. Permanently. On January 7, 1355, King Alfonso sent 3 of his own counselors to the monastery where Inés and her children were living. They found her there, totally unprotected. The story goes that she begged for her life, even held up her children as she pleaded with them. But it didn't matter. Their orders came directly from the king. They showed absolutely no mercy. The deed was done. Just like that. Swift and brutal. Inés de Castro was dead. And with that single act, King Alfonso had just unleashed a monster he couldn't possibly imagine. Peter's grief was immediate, of course, but it didn't last long. It quickly soured and twisted into this pure, white-hot rage that was about to set the entire kingdom on fire. The tragic irony here is just staggering. In his attempt to prevent a civil war, King Alfonso started one. A war between father and son. Peter's love for Inés was now a weapon, and he pointed it right at his own father's crown. The war eventually ended in a really tense truce, but Peter never ever forgave his father. When Alfonso died in 1357, Peter finally got the throne. He was now King Peter I, the most powerful man in Portugal. And oh boy, did he have a long memory. Peter's revenge wasn't quick. No, it was slow, methodical, and incredibly cruel. He hunted the assassins for years, finally making a prisoner exchange with Castile to get 2 of them back. He had them dragged to a public feast, where their trial was basically just for show. Their punishment was as symbolic as it was horrific. He ordered their hearts to be ripped out of their living bodies, one from the chest and one from the back. According to the legend, as this gruesome execution was happening, King Peter screamed those very words. He wanted their punishment to physically mirror the pain they had caused him emotionally. This wasn't about justice. This was pure, unfiltered vengeance. So the 2 assassins were dead, but for Peter, it seems that still wasn't enough.
And this right here is where history starts to get a little blurry and morphs into a legend so dark and macabre, it's been told for almost 700 years.
I mean, did he stop with the men who actually held the knives? Or was his real target the court that had scorned his love, the whole system that had allowed her to be killed in the first place? Okay, so it's really important to point out that this next part of the story, it's considered apocryphal. It didn't actually show up in writing until decades after Peter died. But honestly, whether it's 100% fact or just folklore, it has become the defining moment of this entire incredible tale. Peter gave an order that must have sent a shockwave of horror through the entire kingdom. He commanded that the body of Inez de Castro, who had been buried for years, be dug up and brought to him. Her decaying corpse was then dressed in the most splendid royal robes, the clothes of a queen. And then, in a final act of pure defiance, Peter had her body placed on the throne right next to his own. He then declared that he had secretly married Inez years before, making her his lawful wife and the true Queen of Portugal. He placed a crown on her head, and then, one by one, he forced every single nobleman in the kingdom to approach the throne, bow, and kiss the skeletal hand of their corpse queen. It was his ultimate revenge on the court that had rejected her. Now, whether that corpse coronation really happened or not, Peter's devotion to Inez in death is undisputed history. You can literally go see it immortalized in stone. Peter commissioned 2 of the most beautiful Gothic tombs in Europe. He had Inez reburied in one and arranged for his own to be placed directly opposite hers. The tombs are positioned foot to foot. The idea was that, on Judgment Day, when the dead rise, the very first thing they will see is each other. And carved into the stone are the words "Ateo fin do mundo," until the end of the world.
And that's really the question that just hangs over this whole story. Was King Peter's gruesome campaign a testament to a love that could not be broken? Or was it the terrifying madness of a man whose obsession consumed him, his kingdom, and maybe even the boundary between life and death itself? I'll let you be the judge of that.